Assalamu alaikum. Now it's October. If you live in a Western country, you're probably starting to see ghosts, demons, and monsters decorating the houses in your neighborhood. This is Halloween time, and it reminds me of my youth, how much I loved watching horror movies when I was a kid. When I was a child, I used to love horror movies. But you have to understand, back in the 80s, the horror movies we had were nothing like the ones today. Still, I was probably too young to be watching them alone at night, but that's another story. I wouldn't recommend letting children watch horror movies. But what's interesting is what I noticed back then. After watching a scary movie, I'd be afraid to go to bed. I'd start imagining ghosts or vampires, whatever the story had been about. I felt this strange fear of invisible presence in the dark, as something malevolent was there with me. Even as a child, I wondered, why do I feel this way only after watching horror movies? Why on normal nights do I sleep peacefully and feel nothing? It was a good question, and I remember thinking more deeply. If those ghosts I felt after watching a horror movie were real, then they should always be real, shouldn't they? Even on nights when I didn't watch anything scary, they should still be there. So why is it that I didn't feel them on those normal nights? That puzzled me, because the presence I felt after a horror movie seemed real, undeniably real. So instead of doubting their existence, I started to doubt my own ability to sense them. I wondered, why can't I feel them all the time? Why does this sensitivity only work some nights and not others? Now I think I understand. It's because I was tuning into that frequency, the energy of fear. When your mind locks onto fear, it starts perceiving fearful things. The mind has that power. There's even a name for it, paranoia. It's when a person gets trapped in that frequency, believing that unseen forces or people are plotting against them. They live in a constant state of hell. But here's the thing, the same mechanism can work for good. If you tune your mind to a positive frequency, you begin to feel a benevolent presence instead. It really works. When you imagine that you're surrounded by loving, protective forces that want your good, your mind aligns with that energy and you begin to feel it. When I was young, people would tell me there are no ghosts or demons. They're not real. But that didn't help much because what I felt real. So instead, I learned to redirect that sensitivity. I began to consciously tune into something positive, what I like to call a kind of positive paranoia, where I feel surrounded by benevolence instead. And it really helps. It brings peace. It protects the mind. I believe this is a natural human faculty, something we can all learn to cultivate. You know, when people say that you create your own reality according to your state of mind, that your inner world attracts your outer reality, I think this is what they mean. By keeping your mind in a positive state, by remembering that benevolent presence, you stay tuned to that higher frequency, and that reality begins to unfold for you. And that frequency of peace is always available. It is in a way our risk, our sustenance, continuously given to us, but we need to turn our hearts towards it. That's actually the meaning of the word kalb, the Arabic word for heart. Its root means to turn, because the heart can turn in many directions. It's like a radio receiver. It can tune into different frequencies, and the most natural, the most healthy frequency for the heart is the divine one, the frequency of peace and love. When we tune into that, we not only receive help and inner nourishment, we also become conduits for it. We start emitting that same frequency, radiating peace outward. And just by being in that state, we bring peace to the world. So let's be mindful to keep tuning in to the right channels so we can broadcast goodness and peace. And whenever our minds switch back to the bad programs, to the wrong channels, we can gently turn them back to the positive one. If you tune in into love, it naturally closes the door to fear. You can't listen to two radio stations at the same time. The mind works the same way. What you focus on becomes your reality. That's why in Islam, we are constantly reminded to remember Allah's presence, to stay tuned into the divine frequency, so that blessings, guidance, and protection can reach us. Assalamu alaikum.